Hello YouTube! Have you ever wanted to build a mega base in Satisfactory? Have you ever saw somebody's build and thought, I want to do that? I want to be able to make something that awesome. Have you visited the Reddit and saw some pictures of what somebody else did and gone, I can do that, that looks amazing. Oh, that would be so cool, let me do that, yes. Well, sometimes building a mega base is not as easy as just putting it piece by piece. Sometimes things go, well, they go wrong. And sometimes they just go horribly wrong. And it might not be something that you did. You might be building, and all of a sudden the game crashes. And you're like, what the fudge, man? I was building, this was going great. What happened? Then sometimes things go really bad. I mean really bad. World-altering bad. Like, your entire beautiful base just turns into let's game it out bad, okay? And you didn't do anything wrong. So in this video, I want to go over the problems that I came across in building such a massive structure such as this one. I wanted to show you using my expertise and my experience in building such massive structures like this, and give you guys a general idea of what to expect if you decide to do this yourself. Because an epic build like this is just that. It is epic, but it is also time consuming, and it is also a huge undertaking. And a lot of people don't understand what comes into that when they decide to build something. They just get a fantastic idea and they're like, let's roll with it. And trust me, I'm right there with you. But if you'll sit back, relax, and enjoy, let me show you some things that you should expect when you're building something like this. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Alright, so the first thing you want to worry about is scale and planning. Yes, these go hand in hand, because a lot of people are like, I want to build something big, I want to build something giant, but you have to think of the actual scale of what your building's going to be, so you can actually give yourself enough room when you're building that thing out. As well as, you want to give yourself more than enough room, because you might think it needs A, where in fact it really needs B in terms of size and space. The second part to that is planning. A lot of people look into it and they're like, I want to make this many per minute, or this much per minute, or produce this much power, so and so. Well, you also actually have to break that down into exactly what recipes you're going to need and what machinery you're going to need. That will give you a general idea of what kind of space you're actually going to need. Because once you break it down, you can figure out that you need this many refineries. A refinery is a chunky boy, so of course you're going to need this much space and that much space and even more space for that, if you know what I mean. Next huge problem, location, location, location. Because let's face it, you can build anywhere on this planet, but where you build it is really going to affect how it looks, because there are so many good locations around this place. There's so many well handcrafted biomes, but things are changing. And when you build something, especially something massive, and let's say the devs change it, like the Spire Coast, not saying I'm calling anybody else, but let's say that they change everything up, you're gonna have to deal with those consequences. And especially when you're building something big, location, location, location. Not to mention, I really want to bring this out because I didn't know this ahead of time, and I wish I had known. But the time of day matters. So, if you like a location, you think it looks beautiful, great, or it has just enough space, let the time of day actually go, because you'll realize that not only the placement of the sun in terms of shadows, where you're going to put the front of your base and all that, is going to matter a lot, especially if you want to do some really nice screenshots, but for some reason, some places at certain times of the day will just change to a color you're not ready for, and for some reason, halfway through the biome, it also changes color, which is really crazy because you'll be building something and it looks really good over here, but then you move over there to the other side of the base, which just happens to be a frickin' mile away because you're going nuts, and for some reason it is a totally different color, and yet it's the same time of day. It's so nuts, and it's just one thing I recommend you look into before you start building a mega base. Alright, this next problem is a humongous problem. Some would say the biggest problem with making a mega base. Let's say you know exactly what you want to build, you know where you want to build it, you know how much of each one you want to build. But once you start building, you run into a little fatigue, you run into burnout, you get tired, you just want to sit back, relax, take a load off, really just take a minute, maybe go outside, hang out with your friends, do whatever it takes just to get back in there. You'll get back in there eventually, but right now you just need a minute. And this was a huge problem for me. It was so bad, I spent 200 hours plus in another world that I was creating just so I can get those creative juices to keep flowing, which worked out really well because it gave me some really interesting designs and stuff like that that I can bring back towards my main world. But this is a huge problem for a lot of people. They start a project and it doesn't have to be as massive as, say, something that I build or some of the other community members, but it's still like cumbersome. It still like brings a lot of fatigue, and it really gives you, that sense of I just want to be done with this. And that's when you get rushing and all that kind of stuff. And that's just one thing I want to let people know when they're building all this mega stuff, that sometimes it's nice to just go back to the small stuff every now and again and then go back to the bigger stuff. Don't feel like you have to finish everything that you started. Even some cool screenshots right at the beginning, throw the rest away, you're good. Next up is corruption. Yes, sometimes you're just building and everything goes wrong. Your world just does not want to be the same. And what do you do? What did you do? What happened? How could you let this happen? What brought us to this? Yeah, sometimes when you build mega bases and mega builds, sometimes the world can't handle it, alright? I mean, it can handle BL Andrews' save, but, something like this, that's a little too much for it, okay? You have to bring it down. I mean, this part right here, this is a huge problem, alright? And stuff like this, you usually have to just verify your files, but at the same time, you kind of just gotta laugh it off, because, like, look at this. I'm, like, feeling like I'm about ready to go into, like, another realm, and, like, oh god, everything's attacking me. What's going on? Oh, what the hell? So yeah, this is why I originally made this video, is because I wanted to show off what I've been doing in my main base. I haven't shown it off for a while, but I've been running into a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and a lot of fatigue. And I just wanted to let people know what was going on, and just in case you guys are running into the same kind of problem. Because with big builds, whether they be big to you or big to other people, or just giant massive structures that destroy the very fabric of reality, sometimes, you just gotta seek help, and there's nothing I can do. This one's lost. It's gone. What are we gonna do? I'm just kidding. Everything's fine. I was able to reload an old thing, and we got it up and running. But it was just definitely fun to watch this, crash itself. But all jokes and kidding aside and all problems aside, building a mega base is fun and it is exciting. It just takes a ton of endurance. And if you feel like you can do it, I do believe in you. It is a very hard undertaking to do. It is not easy in the slightest, but that is why there are so few mega bases out there, because they are a test of endurance. Anybody can build 3 heavy modular frames per minute. Not everybody can build 375 modular frames per minute. Alright? It's just its own little beast. And if you can do it, my hat is off to you. But that's just going to be it for me today, guys. A nice short little video. I'm jumping back in there and having fun with my mega base. But I will see you all in the next video, and I appreciate y'all joining me, subscribing, and leaving a comment. But that's gonna be it for me. Bye, buddy.